Read the selection and choose the best answer to each question. Pavel stood in the dim light of steerage, the lowest section of the boat. It was a foul place, filled with the stench of his fellow passengers who hadn't been able to bathe since boarding the ship 2 weeks ago. His only escape came from the words of a letter, long memorized now, from his uncle. The letter contained no information about the difficulty of the journey, only praise for the destination. Pavel wasn't sure whether to curse his uncle for this omission or thank him for the descriptions that transported him from this dank vessel. Uncle John, who had changed his name from Johannes after starting his new life in America, had written about the expansive skies, clean air, and endless available farmland in Texas. We have named our town Praya, in honor of our own capital, the letter said. A strong young man such as you could grow rich working in a nice piece of land. You would never have such an opportunity in Bohemia. Pavel envied the passengers in the decks above him. The price of their tickets meant they could sleep in a bunk bed and eat at a table. But Pavel had chosen to do without these comforts and save what little money he had in order to buy land in his new country. Among the unpleasant odors that filled his nostrils, Pavel could just detect the smell of soup now being served. From his uncle's letter, he recited silently to himself. We had the most pleasant feast last evening. We ate smoked sausage and pickled cabbage. I played polkas on my accordion so that we could dance after a hard week's work. One young woman, Leona, never tires of dancing. I told her about my nephew Pavel. She is eager to dance with you. As Pavel imagined the delicious sausage, his stomach began to rumble. Of course, the soup served here contained no sausage. Still, it would offer a bit of nourishment. But when he saw the throng of people between himself and the soup pot, he despaired of reaching it before the pot was empty. A young girl beside him seemed to have come to the same conclusion. Miklos, a giant of a man with a big belly, stood before the soup pot as if guarding it. Trying to maintain his balance as the boat suddenly lurched, Pavel moved towards the soup pot. Pavel's progress was thwarted by Miklos, who blocked his way. Pardon me, Pavel said, hoping Miklos would stand aside so he could get some soup. Miklos looked down at Pavel with scornful amusement. Pardon you, he bellowed, and as if he were disposing of a sack of potatoes, Miklos hoisted Pavel by his trousers and deposited him on the other side of the ship. Pavel was enraged, but he knew that a confrontation with Miklos would be pointless, like a sparrow attacking a vulture. Then Pavel had an idea. He began singing Beautiful America, a song known by most of the passengers. Soon other voices joined his. Some even began to dance in the confined space. Pavel then joined hands with the young girl and danced with her towards the soup pot. As Pavel ladled soup into his bowl, he thought of the closing lines of Uncle John's letter. Although you have a long way to go, keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. A beautiful life can be yours. Number 1. Pavel's interaction with Miklos contributes to the action of the story by A. Causing Pavel to use a different strategy to get some soup. B. Showing how much smaller Pavel is compared with Miklos. C. Highlighting why Miklos is rude to Pavel. D. Indicating where Miklos is standing when Pavel begins to sing a song. Number 2. How do the following lines in paragraph 4 help keep Pavel from fighting Miklos? We had the most pleasant feast last evening. We ate smoked sausage and pickled cabbage. I played polka on my accordion so that we could dance after a hard week's work. One young woman, Leona, never tires of dancing. I told her about my nephew Pavel. She is eager to dance with you. A. Pavel doesn't want to have the young lady he dances with worry he is a bully. B. Pavel thinks about how good it will be and realizes it would be futile to fight. C. Pavel realizes it would be no problem for him to beat up Miklos, so why fight? D. Pavel is concerned that if he fights, he may get kicked off the boat heading to America. Number 3. How does Pavel receiving the letter from his uncle encourage him to leave his home country and go to America? A. It shows there is food for everyone to eat in America. B. It promises him a job and all the wealth he would want. C, it shows that his life in America would be everything he wants. D, it praises America in many different ways that appeal to Pavel. Read the folktale The Four Dragons, then answer questions 4 through 6. The Four Dragons. Once upon a time, there were no rivers and lakes on earth, but only the eastern sea, in which lived 4 dragons: the long dragon, the yellow dragon, the black dragon, and the pearl dragon. One day the 4 dragons flew from the sea into the sky. They soared and dived, playing at hide and seek in the clouds. "Come over here quickly," the pearl dragon cried out suddenly. "What's up?" asked the other 3, looking down in the direction where the pearl dragon pointed. On the earth they saw many people putting out fruits and cakes and burning incense sticks. They were praying. A white-haired woman, kneeling on the ground with a thin boy on her back, murmured, "Please send rain quickly, God of heaven, to give our children rice to eat." For there had been no rain for a long time. The crops withered, the grass turned yellow, and fields cracked under the scorching sun. "How poor the people are," said the yellow dragon, "and they will die if it doesn't rain soon." The long dragon nodded. Then he suggested, "Let's go and beg the Jade Emperor for rain." So saying, he leapt into the clouds. The others followed closely and flew towards the heavenly palace. Being in charge of all the affairs in heaven and on earth and the sea, the Jade Emperor was very powerful. He was not pleased to see the dragons rushing in. "Why do you come here instead of staying in the sea and behaving yourselves?" The long dragon stepped forward and said, "The crops on earth are withering and dying, Your Majesty. I beg you to send rain down quickly." "All right, you go back first. I'll send some rain down tomorrow." The Jade Emperor pretended to agree while listening to the songs of the fairies. The 4 dragons responded, "Thank you, Your Majesty." The 4 dragons went happily back, but 10 days passed and not a drop of rain came down. The people suffered more, some eating bark, some grass roots, some forced to eat white clay when they ran out of bark and grass roots. And seeing all this, the 4 dragons felt very sorry, for they knew the Jade Emperor only cared about pleasure and never took the people to heart. They could only rely on themselves to relieve the people of their miseries. But how to do it? Seeing the vast sea, the long dragon said that he had an idea. "What is it? Out with it, quickly," the other 3 demanded. "Look, is there not plenty of water in the sea where we live? We should scoop it up and spray it towards the sky. The water will be like raindrops and come down to save the people and their crops," said Long Dragon. "Good idea," said the others as they clapped their hands. "But," said the Long Dragon after thinking a bit, "we will be blamed if the Jade Emperor learns of this." "I will do anything to save the people," the Yellow Dragon said resolutely. "Then let's begin. We will never regret it," said the Long Dragon. The Black Dragon and the Pearl Dragon were not to be outdone. They flew to the sea, scooped up water in their mouths, and then flew back into the sky, where they sprayed the water out over the earth. The 4 dragons flew back and forth, making the sky dark all around. Before long, the seawater became rain pouring down from the sky. It's raining! The crops will be saved," the people cried, and leaped with joy. On the ground, the wheat stalks raised their heads, and the sorghum stalks straightened up. The god of the sea discovered these events and reported to the Jade Emperor. "How dare the 4 dragons bring rain without my permission?" said the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor was enraged and ordered the heavenly generals and their troops to arrest the 4 dragons. Being far outnumbered, the 4 dragons could not defend themselves, and they were soon arrested and brought back to the heavenly place. "Go and get 4 mountains to lay upon them so that they can never escape." The Jade Emperor ordered the mountain god. The mountain god used his magic power to make 4 mountains fly there, whistling in the wind from afar, and press them down upon the 4 dragons. Imprisoned as they were, they never regretted their actions. Determined to do good for the people forever, they turned themselves into 4 rivers which flowed past high mountains and deep valleys, crossing the land from the west to the east and finally emptying into the sea. And so, China's 4 great rivers were formed: the Heligogen, Black Dragon, in the far north, the Huanghe, Yellow River in central China, the Changzi, Yangtze or Long River further south, and the Zhujiang, Pearl, in the far south. Number 4. How did the incidents in paragraph 4 help shape the outcome of the folktale? A. By illustrating their customs and belief. B. By spurring the dragons to take action. C, by providing context for the dragon's mystical powers. D, by emphasizing the concern they have for each other. Number 5. In the folktale, how do the dragons most impact the characters of the story? A, by providing rain for the people. B, by becoming imprisoned in the mountains. C, by creating a permanent water supply. D, by angering the god of the sea. Number 6. Which difference in attitudes between the Jade Emperor and the dragons influences events later in the folktale? A, the Jade Emperor is amused by the needs of the people and the dragons are annoyed. B, the Jade Emperor is angered by the needs of the people and the dragons are pleased. C, the Jade Emperor is indifferent about the needs of the people and the dragons are concerned. D, the Jade Emperor is upset about the needs of the people and the dragons are worried. Read the following 3 paragraphs and answer question 7. Long ago, in the very first days of the world, there lived the first man and the first woman. They lived together as husband and wife, and they loved one another dearly. But one day they quarreled. Although neither later could remember what the quarrel was about, the pain grew stronger with every word that was spoken, until finally, in anger and in grief, the woman left their home and began walking away to the east towards the rising sun. The man sat alone in his house, but as time went by, he grew lonelier and lonelier. The anger left him, and all that remained was a terrible grief and despair, and he began to cry. Number 7. How does the quarrel with his wife cause the man in the story so much grief and despair? A, it caused both the man and the woman to never love each other again. B, it caused the man to never lose his anger, and this caused the woman to leave. C, it caused the woman to not be able to ever forgive the man again. D, it caused the man to grow lonely, which caused him to get angrier with the woman.